Hey guys, today we're going to look at how to solve absolute value equations algebraically. So the rule of thumb for these is first we're going to isolate the absolute value part of the equation. Then once we isolate it, we're going to have the absolute value is going to equal to a number. We know that whatever goes into the absolute value, it could be either positive or negative, but whatever comes out is positive. So we need to account for both answers. So this is how we would work it out. First, I'm going to isolate the absolute value, so I'm going to subtract the 2. And I get the absolute value of 3x is equal to 6. Once I have this isolated, I'm going to create two equations. I know that whatever is inside the absolute value could be positive. And then I'm going to write a second equation, so I take out those absolute value bars again and make it equal to negative 6. And now once you have your two equations set up, you solve for each one independently. So I will divide 3 to both sides. And I get that x is equal to 2 and x is equal to negative 2. So those are my two solutions, 2 and negative 2. Let's look at this example. I need to isolate this absolute value, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. I get 3 absolute value of 4x minus 5 is equal to 21. This 3 on the outside is being multiplied, so I'm going to divide it. And now I have that the absolute value of 4x minus 5 is equal to 7. Now that I have the absolute value part alone, I'm going to write my two equations. So remove the absolute value bars. We're going to keep one answer positive. And then we're going to make the other answer negative. From here, we solve for x. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get 4x is equal to 12 on one equation. And on the other one, I get 4x is equal to negative 2. Then I would divide each one by 4. And I get these two solutions. I get x is equal to 12 divided by 4, which is 3. And here I get that x is equal to negative 2 over 4, which is equivalent to negative 1 over 2. And these would be my two solutions. Let's try a couple more. Here I have half of the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 10. Whenever you have a fraction, remember fractions are division. So to cancel it out, I am going to multiply by 2 to both sides. So now I have the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 20. Now that the absolute value part is alone, I can remove it. So x plus 2 is equal to positive 20, and x plus 2 is equal to negative 20. And then I would subtract 2 to both sides to solve for both of my answers. So x is equal to 20 minus 2, which is 18, and negative 20 minus 2, which is negative 22. And these would be my two solutions. For b, I would have to subtract this 5 first. So negative 2, absolute value of 3x plus 6 is equal to negative 4. Then I would divide this negative 2. So I have the absolute value of 3x plus 6 is equal to 2. Now that I have the absolute value alone, I can remove the bars and create my two equations. So 3x plus 6 is equal to positive 2, and 3x plus 6 is equal to negative 2. And I solve for each one independently. So we would subtract 6 to both sides. And I get for one equation, 3x is equal to negative 4. And for the other, I get 3x is equal to negative 8. Then I would divide each one by 3. And since I can't do anything with these fractions, these are my answers. X is equal to negative 4 over 3, as well as negative 8 over 3. Now we have seen when our absolute value equations gives us two solutions. But if you remember from the previous lesson when we were solving absolute value equations by graphing, there are times when we have fewer than two solutions. So either one solution or no solutions. And this is how it works. So first, we're going to do exactly what we did before. We're going to isolate that absolute value. Because really, I don't know how many solutions I have until I isolate the absolute value. So negative 5, absolute value of x plus 1 is equal to 10. Then I would divide the negative 5. And now I have that absolute value of x plus 1 is equal to negative 2. Now what do we know about absolute value? We know that whatever comes out of the absolute value has to equal to a positive number. But here I have that my absolute value is equal to a negative number. This means that there is no solution. So if you get to this point where you isolate it and you have a negative number, there is no solution because absolute value is never negative. Now let's look at when we have one solution. If I were to add 3 to both sides, I get the absolute value of 2x minus 4 is equal to 0, since the 3 canceled out. If you have an absolute value is equal to 0, you know how we normally separate into two equations, the positive and the negative. But 0 is neither positive nor negative. So this just means that the absolute value of 2x minus 4, when you remove it, we only have one equation because I can't separate into a negative 0. So 2x minus 4 is equal to 0, and then we just solve for x. So I would add the 4. So 2x is equal to 4, and then divide by 2. So x is equal to 2, and this would be my one solution. Let's try a couple more just to make sure. We have here 9, absolute value of 4 over 3x minus 2 plus 7 is equal to 7. So I'm going to subtract this 7 over, and I get 9 times the absolute value of 4 over 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. This is a case where I'm going to have one solution because when I divide the 9, 0 divided by anything is still 0. So since this equals to 0, I can just remove the absolute value bars and solve for x. So now I would add the 2, and I have 4 over 3x is equal to 2. Now remember, to cancel out a fraction, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal to both sides. So x is equal to 2 times 3 over 4. Remember that we can put this over 1 and just multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 times 4 is 4. And this can be simplified. 6 and 4 are both divisible by 2, so I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So x is equal to 3 over 2. And this is my one solution. Now let's look over here. I have 3 absolute value of 1 over 2x plus 5 plus 7 is equal to 5. So I'm going to subtract the 7. And I get 3 times the absolute value of 1/2 x plus 5 is equal to negative 2. Then divide the 3 so we can isolate the absolute value. No matter what, you always want to do this first. And then we evaluate what the answer looks like. Since I have that it equals to a negative 2 over 3, absolute value can never be negative. So this is an example where there is no solution. And that's solving absolute value equations algebraically.